Alright, so here's our next challenge, is to try and make a gear kind of like this. And looks like we have a really nice straight-on shot of the gear. So instead of trying to do a lot of fancy measurements and things, I'm going to show you how you can use something like this to kind of cheat. So let's grab this bottom plane here, and let's assume that you found the outside diameter of this was around 2 inches. Okay, we're going to make that 2 inches into a construction line. We don't care about it that much, but we do want it as a reference because our next step is we're going to take an image that we downloaded from your camera and we're going to bring this back in. So let's get this size down to be about right. That top right corner here is kind of magical. It helps to resize everything. So the picture came in really big, but I can scale it back down and try and get it as close as I can. No, it's not bad at all. It's being matched up with the center of this. And you can see we're a little off center. So I am just going to take the liberty of moving that up, and you can see that we're over center there. So I'm just going to try and make sure the outsides are lined up as best as possible. And this will make something that is roughly correct. And if we 3D printed it, those little minuscule amounts would probably still hold up and be a functional gear. So I'm going to finish that sketch so we can use this as a reference for later. I'm going to start a new sketch right on top of the old one. And I'm going to start off with our circle. I'm going to extrude the circle to whatever distance we need. Let's call it 0.125. And I'm going to make a new sketch, but I'm going to use this as my reference. So on that circle, I'm going to identify one of the teeth here and try and make a circle as close to that point as possible. I'm also going to make it tangent to that line. And you know what? I think I made the sketch on the wrong side because I'm not going to be able to see any of this picture here. So before I get too far into this, I'm going to undo, Control Z, Control Z, and I'm going to make it on the bottom side instead. So on here I'm going to make a new sketch. There we go. Let's try that one more time. So I think the bottom half of this is a little bit easier to see. So I'll go with one of these. I'm going to go circle. I'm going to snap to that. So that's going to be tangent. I'm going to shrink this down because I want that to be rounded. I also want it to be kind of roughly tangent to this curve here. I want to make another circle for right there and right there. We're going to make these two equal to each other. And we're just going to shrink that down a wee bit. And you know what? Let's go ahead and make an offset of this to be that inner circle somewhere in there. So now I'm going to make sure that these circles are tangent to this bigger outer one. And we're actually going to end up cutting out one of these V's. So I'm going to delete this one altogether. I thought I needed it. I was wrong. Instead, I'm going to make another circle for this one here. I'm also going to make it tangent. And I'm going to make it the same size as this one over here. Alright, now I need to make these curved bits here. To do that, I'm going to make a really big circle. I want that to be tangent to the outside. Oh boy. There we go. And tangent to this outside. Oop, that moved on me. So before that stuff starts to move, I'm going to go to my lock constraint. I'm going to lock these 3 circles in place so they can't move. Now the only thing that's moving is going to be this big circle, and that's not for very long. That actually doesn't look too bad. You can play around with the size of the circle and try and get that curve to be about right. And then once it looks good, go ahead and make another one that's about that same size. And you want that to be tangent to the outside of that and the outside of that. Once you have those in place, you're going to set those 2 big circles equal to each other. And now we want to cut out just this one little chunk here. So I'm going to get rid of everything that is not that little chunk there. I'm going to make this into a construction line. I am going to add a 3-point arc from point to line to make that into an object line. And where this stuff is still there, I'm going to delete it. So now I just have this little bit here. I'm going to finish my sketch and extrude, cut that out. I'm going to change my distance to all, just in case I want to change the thickness later. That'll still be a cutout. Now that I have that one piece, I can make a circular pattern of that shape, rotate it around this axis, and if I know how many teeth I have, I'm just going to kind of guesstimate until I get something that looks pretty close. Oop, 42 looks like too many. How about 40? Is that overlapping? It's really hard to tell. Let's try 70. I bet 70 will work really well. There we go. There's a gear. Now again, you should be able to count the number of teeth, so that won't be an issue. You can make the exact number go around. This should be about the right shape. And for this bottom part here, guess what? We're going to do the same kind of thing. So you make another circle. This time it's going to share the center with the actual circle. And that still matches up pretty well. You're going to make another one for the inside ring. And kind of rinse and repeat. So hopefully that helps you out. If not, let me know and I'll see what I can do to help you during class. But I think we just took something that looked like it was going to be pretty complicated and made it a little bit more manageable. I'm just going to go ahead and finish doing this because I want to. Alright. Here goes nothing. I hope I cut out the same part on both of those. Oh, you know what we forgot to do? Extrude that part first. Which means we'd have to make another sketch here. Have that match up. Extrude it out some distance. And then drag this sketch under sketch 3 and make an extrusion, cutting that out. And I still missed it, so this extrusion 3 circle would have to be just a little bit smaller. Same kind of thing, circular pattern, that around this axis, and I don't remember how many times there were. Was it 5, 6? That doesn't look right, does it? No. There you go. That gives you something to play with, and you can always go back and turn off this sketch later.